Have you ever seen those videos of people hanging over the edge of really tall buildings and thought, wow, I'd like to watch an hour and 47 minutes of this? Well, you're in luck. Hello, I'm Lizardmon and this is Fall in 15 minutes or less. Fall is directed by Scott Mann and has an IMDB rating of 6.4 out of 10 and a popularity of 15. We open this movie with our three main characters, Hunter, Brooke, and Dan, as they are climbing a giant cliff face. It's made obvious from the very beginning of this movie that Brooke and Dan are indeed a couple. We follow them a little bit longer as they continue to climb up the side of the cliff face until Dan goes to put one of his anchors inside a massive hole only to be spooked by a bird and immediately falling off. He is caught for a second by the safety line trying to get back to the side of the cliff face, but instead ends up falling all the way to his death. And to be completely honest with you, if I was in the same exact situation, I would have gone right down after him. If my wife just fell off the side of the mountain, I guarantee you I'm taking a nosedive.
Just falls. Oh, he's got to hold it. He's moving a little too fast.
We then learn that like anybody else in this situation, Brooke has been taking it rather hard and over the past 51 weeks has entered a deep depression. She seems to be avoiding everyone, especially her father, as he tries to console her one night after leaving a bar. He tries to explain to her that Dan would not be acting this way and that Dan didn't care about her and that he wasn't a good guy, but Brooke is having none of it. She then returns to her apartment and contemplates committing suicide as she sees a bottle of liquor and pills, but before going through with it, she gets a call from her friend Hunter, the other climber from the beginning of the movie. Hunter tells her that she needs to get back out there and face her fears and that she can't let her fears win, and so she decides that they are going to go on an adventure together. What is this adventure, you may ask? Well, they are going to go climb a 2,000-foot tower that is out in the middle of literally nowhere. As they are on the car ride to the tower, Brooke is going through Hunter's phone and notices that in one of the pictures there's a hand wrapped around Hunter's shoulder. Now remember, this is important for later. Hunter just avoids the question and continues to move on with the conversation. They then stop at a diner for the night where Brooke learns that Hunter has almost become somewhat of a YouTube personality and does all this dangerous stuff for a living. Hunter asks the waitress where they can find the B67 TV tower when the waitress points out the window and we see just how tall this tower really is. We then get a little interesting life hack shown to us by Hunter where if you unscrew the light bulb from the lamp and line up the prongs with whatever it is you're trying to charge, it'll charge whatever it's connecting to. Now normally I would test this for science, but I really don't feel like burning down my house, so we're just gonna have to take the movie's word on this one. The next thing that we are greeted to is Brooke waking up in a hotel room and behind her is Dan, as this is clearly some sort of dream. Brooke turns to Dan and says, "I love you," and Dan doesn't say it back. Instead, he taps on her 1 time, then 4 times, then 3 times. 1, 4, 3, as in the amount of letters in each word of "I love you." Remember, this comes up later also. It's almost like this entire movie is one big book on foreshadowing. As Brooke awakes, we see that Hunter is already ready to go climb the tower as she is already outside and posted up by her truck, and now we also get to see them almost die before the movie even starts as they barely miss an 18-wheeling truck barreling towards them down the highway. Now that would have been a rather short movie. They drive their car all the way to the tower only to find out that the gate is locked and they have to walk the remaining mile to the tower. We then find these 2 vultures that are eating a dead animal. This scene is here to show that there are indeed vultures that eat dead things. As they get to the bottom of the tower, we see that Hunter has already gained 347 likes on her post. Remember, because this means that there is signal at the bottom of the tower. As Hunter is filming and looking up at the tower, Brooke is literally having a mental breakdown in the background. As Hunter manages to calm her down, this doesn't seem like a great idea. If she's that terrified, maybe do something else. Start with baby steps. The 2 of them then spend the next few minutes climbing up the ladder as we see bits and pieces of it have rusted off while other screws are loose, showing that this tower is barely being held together. The 2 continue to climb even further up the tower as we see more screws loose along the way. How many loose screws are there in this tower? Did the guy who screws in all the bolts just decide to take the day off or something? After the 2 make it to the top of the tower, they then proceed to take a whole bunch of Instagram-y photos, even recording some footage with this high-quality drone. After taking all those photos for mad clout, they then spread the ashes of Dan at the top of the tower since he loved climbing. Hunter then gets really emotional about this and Brooke just sees it as she was upset about a friend dying, but we see that it may just be more than that. And now it's time to start climbing back down. Only issue is that the ladder falls, because all those screws mentioned earlier all come loose, and apparently Hunter has the grip strength of a god because as she's being pulled forward by the full body weight of Brooke, she's able to grab onto the top of the pole and keep both of them from plummeting to their deaths. After Hunter manages to pull Brooke back up to the top of the tower, they notice that Brooke's leg has been cut and they decide to start climbing down, only to realize that the ladder is no longer there. What did they think just happened? Did they think Brooke just fell off the ladder? Did they not see the entire ladder peel away from the tower like it was a banana? After being stuck up there, they immediately try to check their phones to see if they have any signal, and of course, they do not. They then check the emergency box at the top of the tower and find a pair of binoculars and a flare. Luckily though, the backpack didn't fall all the way down and it has merely landed on the satellite dish about 50 feet below them. After spending 5 hours on top of the tower, they then decide to try to lower the phone down with the 50 feet of rope that they have to try to get a signal, but still no success. They then get the idea to stuff the phone inside of Hunter's shoe and stuff it and drop it, hopefully keeping it safe all the way down so that it will hopefully send a message by the time it hits the base of the tower. Brooke then notices that Hunter has a tattoo of 143 on her ankle, and remember earlier when Dan would tap 143 on Brooke? Well, that doesn't matter right now because they then notice a man and his dog at the base of the tower, and we see as Hunter's phone didn't survive the drop. Brooke then decides to throw both of her shoes trying to get the man's attention. The man finds one of the shoes but doesn't care and continues to go into his RV with his friend as they prepare to cook a nice home-cooked meal. They then decide to wait until night so it's darker before they shoot off the flare. The two fire the flare and get the attention of the two men. The two men then find Hunter's truck parked by the entrance of the gate. And what do the two men do? That's right, they steal Hunter's truck.
Get out my car!
Brooke now decides it's a great time to confront Hunter about the 143 on her ankle when Hunter confesses that she had been hooking up with Dan for about 4 months before they were married, but supposedly broke it off once they had gotten married. Hunter then decides she's going to descend to the satellite dish to try and retrieve the backpack because it has their water in it. She even says this wonderful line of,
Maybe you'll get lucky and I'll fall.
Emotional, damn it!
She gets down to the bottom of the rope, but is still substantially far away from the backpack. But if you look at the way the rope is positioned, if they were to just feed the rope through one of the slots a little bit closer to the pole and maybe not have it pushed so far off to the side, then maybe she could have gotten a little bit closer to the backpack. But nope, they decide they wanted to make it as difficult as possible. But instead, Hunter decides that she's going to make a leap of faith and jumps to the satellite where the backpack is. Again, look at this scene. The rope is all the way over here, but if we go to the very next frame of the movie, you can see that the rope is all the way over to the side. How about just moving the rope closer to her? She then attaches the backpack to the rope with the selfie stick and makes another leap of faith to the backpack. Brooke and Hunter now work together as a team to try to get Hunter back up to the top of the tower, but right as Hunter is reaching for the ladder, she slips. There's just so much that is wrong with this scene, starting with why they didn't lower her closer down to the backpack, why when she unhooked did they not move the rope closer to her, and why when she got back to the rope decided not to hook herself in. You know they wanted that jump scene, but at the cost of throwing out any sort of reason? Alright everyone, I need a scene that's going to make this movie absolutely pop. I need action, I need suspense. What if we have her jump to the satellite?
What if she jumps to the bag?
What if they use logic and reasoning? But no need to worry, after looking over the side of the tower, Brooke sees Hunter has managed to land on the backpack as Brooke begins to pull Hunter all the way up to the top of the ladder. You know, as having a 51-week depression, you don't lose any of that muscle mass. After getting the backpack all the way up to the top of the tower, they then decide to attach a note to the drone and send it all the way down to where the motel is. At first I thought that this would be far too great of a distance for the drone to make it until I looked up and saw that some drones can actually go to 3.5 to 7 miles, so yeah, it could work, but unfortunately for them, the drone is running out of battery. Don't see why you wouldn't charge the drone the night before you go climb up the massive 2,000-foot tower. That night, Brooke has a dream where Hunter is now dead and being eaten by vultures, only to wake up and see that Hunter is completely fine. As they try to figure out a way to charge the drone, remember that little life hack that Hunter did at the diner? Well, if they go all the way up to the top of the tower where the light is blinking, then they can unscrew the light and plug in the drone that way. As Brooke is climbing to the top of the tower, Hunter then begins to sing the song Sweet Cherry Pie. I understand this is supposed to be some sort of encouragement, but it just seems like a weird song to me. Unfortunately, the prongs don't reach all the way down to the bottom of the light bulb screw, so she has to use her wedding ring as a conductor to be able to get the charge to the drone. As Brooke is now hanging out at the top of the tower trying to get a charge from the light bulb, she is attacked by a vulture and drops the backpack, and Hunter does little more than watch the backpack as it falls all the way down. Interesting. Why would she do that? Also, a little fun fact, if you look, she never put the cat back on top of the tower, but in just a few more hours when we see the top of the tower again, the cap has magically reappeared. The two then decide to wait until 10 o'clock when the checkout is so that the motel will be as busy as it could possibly be. To try to keep Brooke awake, Hunter begins to ask her some questions so that she has to respond to her to stay awake. She even asks her what are some of her favorite WWE wrestlers. Brooke struggles with trying to remember the name of Cactus Jack when he had the mask when Hunter says, "Oh, you mean Mankind?" To which Brooke responds with saying, "I thought you didn't watch WWE." Very suspicious.
It's time to stop!
We then fast forward to 10 o'clock as Brooke now flies the drone with the note attached down to the motel. Only remember earlier in the movie when Brooke and Hunter nearly got absolutely demolished by that 118-wheeler? Well, the drone isn't so lucky. Also, how do you not see that truck? That's probably like the only truck that's even driven down that road in the past 2 hours and you just completely missed it. Now Brooke asks Hunter for her other shoe so she can try to throw her phone down and try to get another message out when Hunter says it's not up here, it's down there.
You can't have the shoe because I didn't catch the bag. I bled out.
Oh my god! Wow!
Yep, that's right. In case you missed the 2000 signs that something was up, Hunter is indeed dead, which now throws the last few scenes into question. So this entire time, she's just been imagining that Hunter has been up there, when in actuality, she's been dead on the dish. Also, if you look right here, Hunter isn't on the dish. The next morning, a vulture begins to pick at the cut on Brooke's leg before being brutally murdered by her. She then eats the now dead vulture as a way to try to regain some strength. After doing so, she now has the strength to climb down to the satellite dish where Hunter is. She then has eye-to-eye contact moment with the other vulture, and the vulture flies away so he doesn't get eaten by her also. We then find out why Brooke has climbed down here, so that she can put her phone into the shoe of Hunter and try to drop it again and get a message out. Only to make sure the phone survives this time, she puts the phone inside of the shoe and then proceeds to put the shoe inside of Hunter before pushing her off the tower. Shortly after doing so though, the satellite that she is on begins to shake and rattle, appearing as though it might fall. We are then in the truck of Brooke's dad as he is racing to find the tower. He pulls up to the base and sees him loading a body into a body bag. He fears the worst, thinking that it is Brooke, as off to the side he hears somebody call out Dad. Brooke is then reunited with her father as they have this wonderful bonding moment. So oddly enough, the way for her to get over the death of her husband was for her other friend to die and for her to have to fight her way out of it. Seems like a very strange circle this whole thing is coming. I will also be providing my own rating system for this movie. It is very simple, 3 points each for plot, acting, and cinematography, and an extra bonus point for bonus point. For plot, 0. Why would you do this to a friend? Also, that's how she gets over the death of her husband? Acting, 1.5. Not great, but not terrible either. Cinematography, 1. It gets really brought down by this really bad green screen at the very beginning. Bonus, the full bonus point, because I have the same bobblehead. My rating for this movie is 3.5. There's just way too many plot holes in this movie just for the sake of suspense. And that has fallen 15 minutes or less. We end with a final death count of 4 because we are not including the drone in this.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Thank you all for stopping by. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment any suggestions, and subscribe. Until next time, have a wonderful day.